Relationship with my fans. They've changed my life. The fans are the thing that you can't learn. They were the instrument in the music that nobody taught me about. They're a giant disco ball. Thousands of tiny little mirrors. The commercial success that I've had has been mind-blowing. I'm the girl that everyone said no and shook their head and said, I don't get it.
I believe, we need failure to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't learn from success. I need to fail.
I remember when I got dropped from my first record label, I just said, Mommy, let's go see Grandma. And I cried on my grandmother's couch. She looked at me and she goes, I'm going to let you cry for the rest of the day. And then you have to stop crying, and you have to go kick some ass. I've never told Beyonce this, but I remember laying on my grandmother's couch crying, and a Destiny's Child video came on. I remember watching Beyonce and thinking, oh, she's a star. I want that. I want to be on MTV. And now I'm in music videos with Beyonce. In a way, there was something liberating about leaving because I was able to define my individuality for myself. I think so much of what I do as an artist is about that. From first to second and now to the third album, a lot of the sort of major theme that's carried through all three of them is that I define my own fame, I define my own existence, I define my own identity, I define my own beauty for myself. No one can define who you are. I'm a perpetual underdog. When I was in high school, I remember once some of the girls from my class, they were hanging out with some boys that I knew also. And I went to meet some friends for some pizza that were at the same pizzeria. And the boys picked me up and threw me in the trash can. On the street. On the corner of my block while all the other girls in the school were leaving and could see me in the trash. And everybody was laughing, and I was even laughing. I had that nervous giggle. And I just remember holding back the tears and the lip quivering and don't let them see you. And I remember even one of the girls looking at me like, are you about to cry? You're pathetic. That's what it felt like. You're pathetic. Are you about to cry? And I remember I didn't tell anybody. That's what I remember. I remember I didn't tell anybody. I remember I didn't want to tell my parents because it was too embarrassing. I think it didn't sink in with me how bullying affected me until later in my life. I knew that it affected me deeply, but it wasn't until a little bit later that I realized how much it affected me and how much it was still very present. I think it took me to get to know my fans and to see similar struggles in them for me to access that wound in myself. And I think that, in a way, the fans have been a key to my heart. Unlocking things about myself that I didn't want to handle or deal with or address that make me a greater songwriter. Boil the tomatoes and add the basil and the garlic and the salt and the pepper and these huge baths in the backyard, and then jar it for the year. And then on Sunday, we put it in the pot, we spice it, let it simmer all day, and make sausage and meatballs and pasta. We've since switched to whole wheat pasta for my dad's heart. After a while, those Italians, gotta start eating healthy.
Tell me about your relationship with your Aunt Joanne.
Well, I never knew her. She died when my dad was really young. But it was sort of this, she was this enigmatic figure in my life. This person that died that meant so much to my dad's family. I felt really connected to her. She was really into poetry and crochet, and she was a painter, and my grandmother had her works of art all over the house. I think that she, in a way, makes us closer to our dad, makes us understand him more, because he's very strict and he's very protective, and I think that losing her contributed to that. He just never wanted to let us go. I printed her poetry in my first album. I remember I brought it to my dad and I said she never got to be a published author, so she is now.
That's so rad.
Yeah, I surprised him. He opened up the booklet. People always ask me how I have so much energy or how I work so hard, and I always sort of humorously but half seriously say, I think I have two hearts. I think that maybe when my mom gave birth to me, she passed along the spirit of my dad's sister. I don't know people, everyone believes in things like that, but I'm Italian, so like I really believe in things like that. I believe in ghosts and bad luck. I'm Italian. So I think she lives through me. Every night before the show, when we pray, we say Joanne before we go on stage.
For me, it's all about family.
You know, I'm a pop singer. People say, your life must be so hard, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you can't go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Criticism, scrutiny, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, you don't know about scrutiny. You don't know what my grandmother went through. You know what my mother was been through, my father. So the dream of my family, to have a legacy. The dream. My grandparents came here from the... My father was the first to go to college. My mother was the first to go to school. It's like the dream of my family.